Hi everybody, welcome to the Yukon Bob Sea-Doo channel. Nice to have you back with us again. On the road again today, and we are heading way north of the city of Toronto. This is a trip I've been wanting to do for the last couple of years. I've been looking at it on the map, I've been looking at the lake, looking at where the launch sites are, and finally, it looks like there's a couple of nice days of weather ahead. So I am on the road heading towards a place called Lake Temagami. This is sort of the wilderness area of Ontario. This is true wilderness. This lake is sort of the entrance to northern Ontario, that area. So I'm 4 hours on the road today, a little over that, 4.5 probably, to get to Lake Temagami. And what I'm going to do is I'm going up the night before. So I'm going to go up today, and then I'm going to get a hotel or a motel, I guess it is, right on the lake, and I'm going to spend the night there. And then tomorrow is when I'm actually going to head out onto the lake and spend the entire day exploring Lake Temagami. I was going to camp, but I really don't know what the situation on the lake is like. I know there's a lot of rock along the shore of the lake, so it's a kind of a reconnaissance trip. You've got to go the first time just to see what the heck the situation is. Maybe the next time I come up, I will camp out there, but this time it's going to be in and out to a motel. And I should be there in about another 2 hours or so. So it's a long trip, but a trip I've been wanting to do for quite a while. I've never been on this lake. New country to me, new country to you too, perhaps. So let's explore it together. Lake Temagami, Northern Ontario. So I think that's the parking spot for tonight. And then she's got me in a room just up here, right at the top of the hill. And yeah, that's it. It's about 125 plus tax, so about $140 for the night Canadian. Smells a little rustic in here, but it's fine. That'll be fine. And the Sea-Doo right out through there, right in front. Okay, let's get a few things unpacked. The place I was staying at was called the Temagami Shores, and it's right beside the highway, as you can see there, and just right on Lake Temagami. The place also has its own boat launch, which is a gravel launch, and yes, I did see those wires flying the drone back to me. Okay, let's take a second look at this. Had a quick look yesterday when I got here. See, it's all this soft gravel here. And I'd hate to spin a tire on that. And I'm gonna have to get in a little ways because it doesn't drop off till out there. I don't know, it's a little sketchy. Get the straps off, I think we'll give it a shot. We'll just go nice and slow. I just don't want to spin tires in that gravel trying to pull out. Not a bad little launch point, I guess. Seemed to have no problem with that gravel. It was all right. Just a little concerning that you think you might, if you had any weight to pull, you might spin a tire or something, and if you did, then you'd just dig right in. But no, it all seemed to go pretty well. So, first time out on Lake Temagami. My first visit to Lake Temagami. I've been wanting to come here for quite some time and explore this lake because it's really truly wilderness Ontario. You are kind of way out from the city now. You're way out from all those lakes that are around the greater Toronto area and now kind of out into the Ontario wilderness. So kind of nice to get out here this morning. I think it's going to be a pretty nice day. Don't know the lake at all. Let's get the Garmin turned on. We're going to want to use the Navionics, I think, as well today, just to make sure I have a good reading of where we are, because this lake is full of islands and it can get confusing out there. There's a lot of little dead ends and things like that. So we're just going to explore the lake today and see what we can find. And this is a little dock area that you can come to. It's just about 5 minutes from where I was. There's a Petro-Canada gas station there right up on the highway. And then you can go in there and tie up along this dock here, which is a day use dock, and go in and have breakfast. I can smell bacon and eggs from here. It's tempting, but I don't think I need it. You can go in and have breakfast in there. And then there's lots of places to tie up out here. I suppose one of the big things on this lake is that it's a big kind of outdoor adventure lake for kayakers, canoers, and there's a big outfitting company here that has got a ton of kayaks and all that sort of stuff right on the water. They've got a really nice launch. I looked at it last night. I went and had a quick look. So they're right in here as well. And there's a lot of people come up and rent stuff here and go out on the lake and camp, hike, and things like that. There's also a houseboat rental place on the lake as well, where you can rent houseboats and take houseboats out onto the lake. And if that's not enough, right here on the lake, right at this end as well, Lakeland Airways has a float plane base right off this lake. I've already seen 2 float planes take off this morning, so gonna have to be very careful with the drone flying it around here as well. I won't fly it at this end. I'll wait till I get out onto the bigger lake. All right, I think everything is secure. Everything is tucked away, cord is on, rope is on. Let's go. So I said there was a provincial campground right beside where I'm staying almost. It's called Finlayson Provincial Park. I'm just going to show you the boat ramp for that because I wanted to see this too. Because the next time I come here, this might be a place to camp right in the provincial campground here. So this looks like an excellent boat launch in here. It's nice docking facilities. And there's the launch right there. That's a concrete pad launch. Water drops off fairly quickly there. Lots of places to tie up. Some low-level stuff there for sea-doos. So this is the campground. This looks like a really good spot. I think the next time I come here, I'm camping. So as I just go along the north arm here, I'm just sort of looking along the shoreline to see what it would be like to be able to camp here. And here's the problem, as I thought it might be. You know, it's a beautiful country and it's really wilderness out here, but it's all kind of rock everywhere. So where do you park a sea-doo or tie a sea-doo up? There's no sand anywhere. It's just kind of all rock. The water's nice and clear. It's beautiful. The countryside is absolutely gorgeous. But it's a matter of where you would tie up and park a sea-doo so it's not rubbing on the rocks all night if you were going to do a wilderness camp. Now, I'm only on the north arm here. I haven't seen the whole lake. There's lots to go yet. I'll have to just kind of keep an eye out to see what would be available. There are kind of marked camping spots all around the lake on a map, which I don't have the map of that. I'll have to see if I can get one before I leave town. Apparently the local grocery store's got one. But just this kind of stuff. I mean, it's beautiful country out here and all of that, but where do you set up a tent? Where do you tie up a sea-doo? That's somebody's cabin in there on that island with a dock. Yeah, just have to keep an eye out and have a look. That's sort of the whole idea of this trip, is to come out initially and just sort of take a look around and have a much better idea for next time whether camping on the lake is going to be accessible or not with a sea-doo. With a kayak or canoe, right, it's not a problem. You just pull it up onto the shore and you're good. Here I got to leave this thing in the water overnight and it's got to be safe. Beautiful country though, I like it a lot. Yeah, he's diving. Whoa! Here comes again. Woo! Yeah, how do you like it? See how you like it? Yeah, what are you gonna do now? Yeah, come on. There's a stop sign over there. What the hell is that all about? Whoa. Pretty shallow here. Pretty shallow. Another bay back in there. But what's this stop sign all about? I think somebody probably just brought it out here and nailed it to the tree. Next, there'll be signal lights and traffic lights. There's a cabin back in over there, a little cottage. It's nice to see there's some places like this still left in the world that are kind of, I wouldn't say untouched, but because there's a lot of cottages and cabins all around the lake. But at least they've maintained the respect for the wilderness here, and there's no big clear cutting or open patches like that. It's all pretty much wild. Some lily pads. This might be a good place to fly the Sudeyko drone, get some video of me just going around the lake. I could bring it back here and land it right on this dock. Okay, we've retrieved it. This thing is not the easiest thing to fly from the water. It's just, it has GPS lock on you, but it doesn't have a visual lock. It does, and then it doesn't, it loses it, and then it's got the GPS lock, and then kind of trying to control it and steer it in the air and get it back to the dock is a little tricky. So you don't want to be too far from the dock when you're flying this thing so that you can kind of get it back over to the dock. It'd be really difficult, I think, to catch this thing off the Sea-Doo, so you need to have a place to launch it from and to retrieve it from. But yeah, it has its purposes, but it does not fly like a DJI drone where you have that full control. This, you just don't have that same full control. Anyway, we got some video around the lake a little bit, I hope. Hopefully something that can turn into something, we'll see. Let's load it all back up. This looks like a kid's wilderness camp. Yeah, it's welcome to Wabikon Campers, kids summer camp. How are they doing? Hello. What's the name of the camp? Camp Wabikon. Camp Wabikon. Okay, nice. Oh, I just saw a sunken boat under the water. I'm gonna go back and show you. It didn't make it. It looks like it might have been one of those sailboat kind of things. There it is. Hi guys. That's all part of the camp, by the way, still in there, all their camper huts. Yeah, it does drop off pretty quick right off the shoreline. They've got a campfire ban on right now through just about most of Ontario because of the hot, dry weather. So even if you were camping right now, unfortunately, you would not be able to have a campfire right now because there is this campfire ban in effect. Don't know if it's going to last all summer. Guess it depends on how much rain we get or how much dry heat we have and lightning strikes. But right now there is a campfire ban, so you couldn't have an open fire at night, which is kind of a drag if you're camping, because that's one of the whole things about camping is you want to have a fire at night. It's just neat going along the shoreline, looking along the shoreline, just what's in the bush, what's in the water. Whoa! Okay, we got a little bit high-sided here. Didn't see that coming up. haven't touched anything. We just kind of rolled up on top of it. So I'll step off and we'll just push ourselves off. There we go. We're just putting along, but that came up a little bit quick. And I love all the little islands that you go through back in here. It's just, you know, dotted with islands that you kind of cruise around. Some of them have cottages on them, some of them don't. Wow, this is so pretty. Just loving it. And you know, there are a few boats on the lake, but you're pretty much alone. You know, that it's nice to see a few boats actually, though, so that if you got in trouble somehow, somebody eventually is going to come along. But there's lots of places where you're not seeing anybody around, like this whole lake all the way around, all the way out there. There's nobody out there. Might be a good spot to put the DJI drone in the air. At least I have a lot more control on that drone and I can fly it around here, get some aerial shots. I'll just tie up along this guy's dock here. I don't think he'll mind. There we go. Put that along there. Well, that was just a great little spot to stop and fly the drone from. It's just a little island here in between this channel and the mainland over there. And then there's a bunch of other islands out that way and some more out that way. So it was a great spot just to stop and fly the drone from off this little dock here. Nice and calm in here. The whole lake is actually pretty calm today. So good chance to fly the drone. Hopefully we got some good aerial footage. I guess we'll see when we get back, but it's just a beautiful morning out here. It's getting on towards, I guess, afternoon now, but just very, very pretty. I'm down to about 20% battery. I think I'll change the battery while I'm here and then move on. Great little spot to fly the drone from. Just a little wharf right there. It's always nice flying the drone from land if you can. It's just a safer feeling. And that is rock. You could probably get in here. There's a bit of, there's probably some place to pull in there, maybe, but again, not a great camping spot area. Definitely secluded back in here though. Another little narrow entrance to get through, but yeah, it's passable. What a beautiful day. I've got the new shirt on. I bought a bunch of these, what do they call them? Rash shirts this winter from Amazon. And I bought them in bright colors. I've got a red, I've got an orange, I bought a white. It helps the drone see it when it's up in the air, when you've got this big bright red shirt on. Long sleeve, so it's great. Dries really quickly. These rash shirts are great for sea doing. Just bought about 4 of them, I think, off Amazon. Hi guys. What kind of fish are in this lake? Bass? Any lake trout?
There's some.
Yeah?
There's more lake trout in the other lake.
Oh, okay. Is this called Cross Lake?
Yeah.
This is Cross Lake.
How do you like to do?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. It gets me just about anywhere.
And what do you do with that camera thing?
I'm a YouTuber. I have a Sea-Doo channel about sea-dooing all over Ontario.
Oh, I see.
So this is my first time on this lake, on Temagami. I've usually done all the Muskoka, Georgian Bay, all that stuff, because I'm out of north of Toronto.
You go that way as far as you can, you get to the hydro dam.
Which way?
That way. No, that way.
That way, yeah.
Yeah, that way. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Just want to get a little bit of video of them with the dragonfly going over top of them. You just come across those every now and then in the water. And then some areas along the shoreline, you'll hit these grasses that are growing off the bottom. It really is a wilderness experience out here, especially when you get back down this far down the lake system and into this other little lake called Cross Lake. It just becomes, whoops, there's a bunch of weeds up here. Let me go around that. And there's that narrowing up there. It just becomes much more of a wilderness experience further back here. There's a lot of timber, a lot of growth along the shoreline. It's just fairly unpopulated down in this area. The bigger lake has a lot of cabins around it, but once you get back down this area, it's truly wilderness out here. It's really kind of nice. It hasn't disappointed. This was what I was kind of expecting Temagami to be. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Yukon a little bit. That's what I was thinking when I came out here. I had that as a bit of a mindset that it might be a bit like the Yukon, going down the lakes there where there's just miles and miles and miles of nothing but wilderness. It's not quite that, but it is pretty good. It's the best I've seen in Ontario so far for a wilderness experience is Lake Temagami. I think I'll just shut the engine off over here and have a bite to eat. Ah, that's nice. It's so much quieter. It's so peaceful out here. There's not another sound around, just the birds chirping a bit. Cue the birds. Where's the birds? Up in the distance. A lot of dead lumber that's fallen down into the water over the years. Just laying on the bottom. There's logs kind of all over the place. I guess just falling out of the forest. Like that one maybe is going to fall down in a little while. It just winds up in the bottom of the lake. Yeah, such a pretty little spot. Glad I came up here. I've been wanting to do this for a while and finally made it. So just as we're putzing along here, a couple of quick facts about Lake Temagami. It's about 45 kilometers long, north to south, and it's about 35 kilometers wide, east to west. And I've got to assume that that includes that north channel that I came out on as part of that 35 kilometers east to west. And there's about, I don't know, 1,200 islands or something that dot Lake Temagami. So it's this body of water with all these little spurs coming off of it, different inlets and channels and things like that. But it is true wilderness out here, very beautiful, and really one of the places that you want to see if you like sea doing. It's a great lake for sea doing. It's just not a great lake for sea-doo camping because of all the shoreline that sort of consists of that stuff. It's very hard to find a spot where you can tie up and have your sea-doo safely parked for the night. I think the place to do that would be Finlayson Provincial Campground, which is at the very tip of the North Arm. You could spend your time there. There's a great boat launch there. Pay for the campsite and all that sort of stuff, and then access the lake from Finlayson Provincial Park. I think that's what I might do next time. Now that I've, excuse me, been out on the lake, once I've seen the shoreline, there's lots of camping spots, just none that are conducive to keeping the Sea-Doo at. None that I've seen anyway. Mostly like that. Well, I think that is going to do it for Lake Temagami for today. Had a fantastic day out here today. I did about 100 and, well, it says 100 now, 100 kilometers, and I missed about 10 because I didn't start recording, and I got about 10 more to go back, so about 120 kilometers today. I've got a little over a quarter tank of gas left in the Sea-Doo, so I haven't had to reuse the other gas that I hauled with me, which is good because I hate filling up on the water with that thing. It's just kind of awkward. So I'll easily have enough to get back. Wish I had a second day here, but I think the weather is turning tomorrow rain and the wind's picking up a bit. So I had a full day, probably 7 hours on Lake Temagami today. Beautiful wilderness lake. I really, really like this lake a lot. I'd like to come back, spend some more time, maybe even 2 days on the lake next time. And I think the next time I'll camp at that Finlayson Provincial Park campground and then just Sea-Doo out of there. It'll be an easy way to do it. Beautiful area. Thanks for coming along, guys. I hope you enjoyed some of the scenery that I was able to bring to you today from the sky and from the water on Lake Temagami in wilderness country in Ontario. Long drive to get up here, 5 hours here and 5 hours back, so you'd like to get a couple of days in the area while you're here. Hopefully I get another day tomorrow, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for coming along on this one. Hope you enjoyed Temagami. We'll see you on the next Yukon Bob video. Till then, stay safe on the water. See you next time.